Hello, Aries. Welcome to your reading. This is Sage. Um, I had already laid out the cards for you. I was going to have this all recorded and shown to you, like even the laying down of the cards. But technical difficulties, and here we are. So, when I picked the charms for you, these two were the ones that came out. Um, Excuse-moi, let me just line them up. Okay, Aries. I already laid the cards out, and when I picked out charms for you, the crazy daisy came up. That's really how it's like um, appearing in my head. Crazy daisy showed up, and the gun showed up for the walker. Okay, so that you have two sides of you. Okay, you have a side to you that's such a risk taker that you know has this need to go their own way, um, no matter the uncertainty that they face, no matter the danger. In fact, the risk and the surprise element is what kind of motivates you to go this way. So there is a side of you that's pretty dangerous, that's comfortable with uncertainty and risk taking, but there's this other side of you that's so sweet, Aries. You're so sweet, Aries, and you want relationships, you want to bear your heart out in front of someone else. Um, it is important to you that these relationships grow and feed you the way you're able to grow and feed it. So, crazy daisy and so basically when these two came out, I was like, Aries, you're crazy daisy with a gun. That's who you are. You're such a personality. And I'm not sure where you are in this timeline, or which part of yourself you had suppressed. Like maybe you suppressed your emotional poetic side. Maybe you didn't want other people to see you as soft or even a little unhinged and crazy. That's fine. Maybe there's this other side of you that's maybe there's this other side of you that you suppressed, the one that takes risks, that um, just goes off into the wilderness with no thought of like who they have to leave behind, for example. you know um, so maybe you suppress this side of you in favor of relationships, but these two sides don't have to be at such opposite ends, at such oppositional um, points. Like, these two sides of you don't have to fight each other. You are crazy daisy with a gun. You are not just a pretty little daisy, and you are not just a dangerous person. You are a bit of both. Okay, and when this realization first hits you is when you're kind of the miser. And when I say miser, you're probably thinking like lack of abundance. But when I see miser, I'm not necessarily thinking that. I am thinking, well, you had to either accept the poet or accept the walker, whichever it was that you had suppressed or denied before. So you had to accept one of these two things, okay? Um, or both of them, in fact. And the acceptance of these two very different energies, or like they seem different to you. Okay. um, but since they're so different, and since you don't know how to mesh them up properly, right, you're kind of in the space of lack of acceptance. Like maybe you're like, oh yeah, I don't know the kind of words that flow out of my mouth. I cannot, um, I just have such terrible opinions of people. I can't help it. Maybe I'm a horrible person. So, like all of these judgments, when you accept these parts of yourself, when you start to integrate these parts of yourself, these parts don't just, you know, you don't just become okay with these parts overnight. The first thing you're going to realize after accepting a part that you once rejected is you're going to realize why you rejected it in the first place. So if you rejected the poet in you because the poet gets too vulnerable and you just cannot be that vulnerable. you know so when you accept that again, the first thing that's going to come up is like, oh my god, I cry a lot, I cry at everything, I'm so sensitive, I need to hide this, no one's going to understand, no one's going to love me if I'm so sensitive. So you're basically staying in a point of lack, and that kind of makes you more stubborn, it kind of makes you more inflexible, because you're in a world that doesn't allow space for you, so you kind of have to like claw and try to like make space for yourself. But that's only, you're only trying so hard because you think people can't love Crazy Daisy with a gun. You think people can't love you for the wacky personality that you have. Like for example, if it was the walker that you were suppressing, once you bring it back in, the first thing you're going to be like, oh, now I remember why I suppressed it. Now I have all these instincts and urges to go here and do this. But if I go here and do this, then my mom will say I'm abandoning her. My husband will not like it, or like someone. So basically, there's this feeling of like, oh man, I don't have, now that I've accepted all of myself, no one else is going to accept me. And I just kind of have to carve out a space for myself. I need to be stubborn, I need to be inflexible, I need to carve it, like, just really claw a space for myself, because no one else will just let me be who I am. So that's like, so this is stage one, is understanding the two sides of you and calling it in. Stage two is dealing with that, is dealing with the whole reason you suppressed in the first place, and find other reasons to continue to not suppress yourself, or like, yeah. So basically step two is about feeling the lack that comes from accepting these things, feeling the lack of love, understanding, and acceptance from others, and feeling the need to grab and claw and carve out space, you know. But step three in your healing journey is being the astronomer. So this is really about synchronicity. There's words like discovery and augury down here, but when I'm thinking of it, I'm really thinking synchronicity. I remember the first time I drew my own chart. Like, I had abandoned all religions, all gods. And when I saw my chart, though, I kind of was like, oh shit, this is going to make me believe in God again. Because everything feels so perfect, even the flaws. You know, you're going to exactly, when you see your chart, or you know, when you experience the universe moving in synchronization, you're going to feel like, oh, my poetic side makes sense. Oh, this the walker side makes sense. They both combine and they make Crazy Daisy with a gun. But it makes sense. It's not like I'm a freak. I make sense. There's a reason why I existed in this way. There is a purpose. There is everything. You're not a aberration. You were meant to be born this way. Okay? And over here is symbolizing the destination, and I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know what's in your destiny, but it's gotta be something like this, something astronomy related, or maybe not, but it kind of looks like you started on a journey of self-improvement, but you're heading on a very esoteric journey right now. And where you're going to end up is going to be pretty woo-woo, like spiritual or whatever. You might be learning some actually witchy stuff, maybe connected to planets, maybe not. It's a mystery right now, but it's basically like incentive for you. That's how it came up in this reading. It came up to be like, you don't know the kind of juicy stuff you're going to learn. Keep at it. You're going to love it. So let's see how to caretake all of this, right? So we have the poet who, so it feels like the poet loves indulgence, but tends to a bit of paranoia when there is too much indulgence. And there's a need to, like, yeah, take a little bit sometimes. And really, this is sort of just telling me, you gotta balance it. Sometimes you're going to need a lot. Sometimes you're going to have to indulge, maybe, go shopping, or maybe just like smoke a lot. Like, maybe you're into weed, right? Like, smoke a lot. So maybe you're into weed, and all of this exactly describes what you need to do to help yourself moving forward, with weed. And maybe you're not into weed, in which case this has to do with like learning what you need, and how to mix it up for yourself, so that you can really feed these parts of you and feed this process and this journey, right? So the poet is quite sensitive. So there'll be times of like extreme indulgence, and there'll be times of, just taking a tiny little hit on a pipe, and these are like so non-messy, travel friendly, something on the go. And this is like for when I am at home. Something on the go for when I am at home, you know. So there's a bit of all of that. And then we have the walker over here with the Queen of Bongs, right? Now, your walker side really thrives on indulgence. And even when your walker side wants to like chill out and have just a little bit, it's, I mean, the Ace of Joints is a whole J. I see the Ace of Joints as like a whole a whole joint, you would usually share it between a couple of people, but this is, just smoking your joint by yourself, just enjoying it by yourself completely, you know. And so yeah, there's that. And then we have the miser. So the miser is like, okay, so when you're in the space of feeling like, you have to struggle to make sure that you go your own way instead of um, having other people interfere in your life and tell you, oh, you should be this way or you should be that way and stuff like that. So when you're in this space, um, the best thing for the poet would be to just keep going. The poet side of you will have a lot of times of like dissatisfaction, a lot of times of like, what am I doing with my life? Should I even be, smoking this bong? Don't keep your bongs on decoration. Use them. They're not for show, they are to be used. So, yeah, um, keep going, keep indulging. There's never a moment of complete, like, I don't see any moment of like complete withdrawal anywhere. So you're okay to indulge and keep indulging, and especially your walker side is super into that. you know your walker side is like the number one stoner. Walker side probably has a lot of joints just there stored for like, whenever you're in the mood. And you have the whole world of you have a whole world of like cannabis and tools to smoke it, so you can smoke it any way you like. So that's the kind of feeling that I get here. Your wild side needs a lot of indulgence. Your poetic side might be like, oh, let's stop. Oh, I don't know. Where are we going with this? But the one thing you should always tell your poetic side is just keep going, keep going, keep going. Whatever you think you don't need, you actually do. Keep going, keep going, you know? And so I feel like the only reason you ever feel like, oh, maybe I should not indulge, oh, maybe I should just like refrain from all of this, the only reason you do that is because of your sensitive side. You're sensitive to the opinions of others, you're sensitive to, especially the ones that you really love, you're sensitive to what they think of you. If they think that you're just like being useless, overindulging in certain things that you're not supposed to, it's gonna stop you. Your poetic side is always like holding you back because it's concerned about what other people are going to think of you, and that's okay. That's okay. The poetic side of you is supposed to be sensitive to other people's opinions and whatnot, but um, indulge anyway. Yeah, I'm sure, like, when, yeah, indulge anyway. And then when you come to the astronomer phase, where you're really like looking at your chart or doing something that's equivalent to that, right? When you're really looking at your chart and understanding that, oh my God, every part of me actually makes sense. So this is when a lot of radical self-acceptance comes, and also a lot of acceptance that, oh, maybe there are people in the world that would accept me exactly as I am. So that is this period of like finding out like, oh, I'm actually okay. So what will really help um, you know your wild side, the walker in you, is the devil. So whatever you think you should not do, question it. Whatever you think, um, yeah, like question it, question it, question it. Your poetic side would really love some indica, which means that whatever helps you sleep the best is what you need more of. Okay. So remember, this is a general reading. Not everyone's into weed. Some of you just want to be able to sleep. So maybe you have some, I don't know, what is that medicine name starting with M that helps with sleeping? Melatonin? Not melanin. But yeah, something that'll help you sleep. You need something that'll help you sleep. And then we have the Page of Bongs, upside down though. So yeah, I guess sleeping all the time might give a bad impression to certain other people, but who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter what they think. You need sleep, so you need sleep. So get what you can. Sleep. Well, that's it. Get what you need to get yourself some good sleep, especially with the Empress card over here. I'm just reminded of how there was this recent study on how women actually need so many hours longer than men, of just good deep sleep, like some 10 hours or something, you know. So yeah, these two together is really talking about don't worry about your partner or or whoever it is, whatever, um, whoever it is that's like on your back right now for chilling out and sleeping. Forget them. Instead, we have. So now let's see how to caretake your wild side. So we have the devil, and we have um, the two of joins. Okay, so that's kind of making me think of like choices and stuff. You know how there are. Just close it. No, just 1 second. I'm finishing. I'm almost done. Oh, nothing. Um. So yeah, on this side we have the devil and we have the two of joins. So this is basically talking about how if you are troubling yourself over what to choose, indica or sativa, like should I sleep, should I do as my poetic side wants and just get some rest, or should I like go out and get some adventure, right? Go for both. Choose both. Like, I think we've established that indulgence is fine and you need a lot. You need to be fed. So if you're ever beating yourself over doing this or doing that, do both, as it'll feel good to you. So do both. And just I'm almost done. And then finally we have the cards laid out over here. And I know I've described these cards and I've kind of told you that the poet is always trying to reduce indulgence, but ironically enough, the poet actually needs the most it's just sensitive to the paranoia that comes with it, you know, and that's why it kind of wants to uh, temper down the indulgence, make it manageable, you know. Um, your wild side actually does not need as much, but it still needs quite a lot. And um, it can never uh, minimize itself to this level, right? It can never be the king of knight of pipes. It always needs to satisfy itself with a nice fat joint all alone. So yeah, this is basically your journey, and this is basically what you need to do to feed your journey along. Indulgence is fine if you're ever in a tough spot, wondering what to choose both. Um, but definitely favor sleep, and that's it. That's really it. Have a good week, Aries.